All right, joining us right now to talk about all of this is Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell of California. He sits on House Homeland and Judiciary. It's good to have you here.
Yeah, thanks.
Let's start. There's quite a few headlines coming in that I want to ask you about, but starting with the jobs report just out. I mean, this is a jobs market that just won't quit. I mean, it just came in and it's quite strong and beating expectations. Your reaction?
We want to see more jobs created, but you know, South Florida is a beautiful place to be a couple days before a hurricane hits. And we have a massive hurricane that's going to hit our economy when this tariff moratorium is lifted. And also, retailers are already starting to price in these tariffs. The Port of Los Angeles, for example, they say next week, 35% fewer ships. So if there was 100 ships last week coming into the port, there's going to be 65 ships this week. So consumers are going to start paying more, and we're already seeing that costs have been going up. Donald Trump said, I'm going to lower costs on day one. He's 0 for 100. He hasn't done that yet.
Part of this, though, is, but the jobs market remains strong. I mean, look, you're the president this week blaming bad numbers, GDP numbers, saying that was Biden's economy. But you look at this, I mean, are you, and when he said that, I heard a lot of Democrats, including Republicans, saying, no, this is Donald Trump's economy. But this strong jobs report, Donald Trump's economy?
This is Donald Trump's economy, yes. And it's the same amount of jobs that was created in April 2024, almost exactly the same amount of jobs. It's good. We want jobs. But what I'm concerned about is that when people go to the grocery store or Walmart, where 4 out of 5 of the items in your shopping cart are made overseas, that they're going to start paying more. Also, the GDP has already been driven into the red under Donald Trump. That's also his economy. 401ks are 201ks because of this tariff war that he's imposed on the American people. And so that is what we have to focus on. And I've been meeting with CEOs. I've been meeting with my Republican colleagues who also privately express a lot of frustration about what Donald Trump's doing. I would like to see the Congress assert more authority over the tariffs, and you're seeing more and more Republicans express a willingness to do that.
You mentioned ports. A huge portion of goods coming from China, the majority, I believe,
that's right,
goes to ports in California. And when you correctly stated what we were hearing from the Port of Los Angeles, that they're expecting a huge drop-off in arrivals starting next week, and that's when shipments that are tariffed with the bigger tariffs are going to be starting to arrive. What does that mean for your district? What does that mean for California? Because the trickle down, I mean, you go from port workers to freight to semi drivers to, you know, go down the line.
There's a long tail as far as what the collateral damage will be. The Port of Oakland is just outside my district. So, yes, the longshoremen who work on the ports, they're going to see a reduction in work.
Is there a way to protect? Is there a way to protect them from this or help them from feeling the blow that the ports say is coming?
Reduce Trump's tariff tax. This is a tax on Americans. There's no other way to look at it. And also, everywhere in America today, from the top floor of the biggest financial institutions, from BlackRock to blacksmiths, decisions are being frozen. Americans in their personal lives making decisions about vacations, making decisions about family trips. I'm seeing it in our own family. You're freezing decisions until until you have more certainty about this tariff and the tax on the American people and what it's going to do to your finances. And that's devastating for the economy. Jobs report, great. But what we're going to see in the next couple of weeks on our retailers' shelves are costs that we're not used to as Americans.
Mike Waltz, former colleague of yours, he is now out. The president wants him to be the next UN ambassador. What do you think of this? You can present it as two things, right? Chaos and disaster, or Donald Trump's trying to clean up shop. What is it?
Well, it was chaos and incompetence that made Americans know the name Mike Waltz, right? He put national security secrets in a group chat. He
so do you think
it's
good? Do you think it's good that he's out?
Yes, but when you are incompetent, you don't move someone down the ladder, you lead them off the ladder. So he should not have the important job of UN ambassador. Most people in the military or national security who did what Mike Waltz did would be surrounded by lead walls. They wouldn't be getting another job in the government.
I've heard from many that I would say read from many that they had the wrong guy. A lot of people thought that Mike Waltz was kind of
fall guy for Hegseth.
A fall guy for Hegseth, but they liked, Republicans and Democrats, if they had to choose, they liked having someone like Mike Waltz near the president. They thought he was a stable guy. They thought that what Pete Hegseth did on the Signal chat was far worse than what Mike Waltz did.
I think what they all did was awful. I mean, they made a mistake. It was a huge mistake that others would pay a big price for. But worse than that, they tried to gaslight the American people and say that what was in that group chat was not what was in that group chat. And it was insane. And so if you're willing to, make a mistake and then double down and lie to the American people, you shouldn't be making decisions about our troops.
Practically speaking, do you think Marco Rubio can juggle both being Secretary of State and National Security Advisor?
No.
When they say Kissinger did it, that was 40 years ago.
He's not Kissinger. And these challenges right now from Israel, Gaza, Ukraine, Russia, China, Taiwan, and other challenges across the world, they command serious people who are focused and are bringing competence to the job. We don't have that in Secretary of State Rubio, and we don't have that in Pete Hegseth. And so Donald Trump, it's just been, we went from a Trump slump to now a Trump train wreck from the economy and national security. And there's a level of seriousness that people want to see on these consequential decisions.